everybody, it's Romania Black, and it is time for another chapter of Witch Hat Atelier Kitchen, and I have been so excited to dive back into this series, and I'm so happy you all have been so supportive, and the reception for Witch Hat Atelier Kitchen has been, I've been so excited. So I'm sorry if I've kept you waiting on this new chapter, but getting these cooking videos set up can be challenging, and so I want to give myself like plenty of time to get the episode recipes ready, to get any help that I need ready. So I'm pretty excited, but we are going to talk about a few comments before we dive into the chapter itself. We're going to talk about the comments for episode 11 that came out, because I backtracked a couple across those. We're going to talk about a comment from Witch Hat Atelier Kitchen chapter 1, and then I'm going to be reacting to the chapter itself, and then we're going to do the recipe, and then we're going to come back and talk about the ED. And talk about the OP. We're going to talk about the OP first. I was going to talk about the OP first, and then the ED in another video that I'm going to be doing, because there may be another chapter coming out later this month because y'all voted for it on Patreon. So I'll be talking about the OP in this video with the comments at the end of it, and then we'll talk about the ED at the end. Yay! And then go from there. As far as whether or not I'm going to be watching the preview, I have had some people say that they watched it and wished that they hadn't, so they could be surprised. And I was like, oh, that's such a good point. So at this point, I'm very torn. I don't know if I will watch the preview just because we're doing these chapters, but I am going to analyze the OP and the ED. So we'll look at the OP in this week's video, and then we'll look at the ED for the other one that's coming later this month. So we'll split it up. That way these videos aren't too bogged down. But we're going to look at that OP after we're done making this delightful dish that we're going to make today. And then hopefully be able to maybe savor a little bit while we watch. So we'll see. But anyway, I want to dive into the comments that y'all left for episode 11 and Witch Hat Atelier Kitchen chapter 1. Rose Jennison said for episode 11, I have some mixed feelings about the setup for the test. On the one hand, I think it works well for testing one's ability to use magic without someone else noticing, all without risking the secret of getting out. On the other hand, I think using animals as a stand-in for outsiders has some unfortunate implications. Yeah! And then there was that line Elira had about not revealing yourself as human. Like witches are supposed to view themselves as something not human or more than human. Maybe I'm overthinking the wording, but it seemed like framing a test you take so early on like that could only worsen the divide between witches and outsiders. There's so much about this comment that I really liked. One, we talked about the nature implications back when I was discussing episode 11. Yeah, I get the idea that they're trying to be like, it gives off the very much like, we're for the environment, and we're for helping and making sure that we keep it sustainable. But then like, you're also using it to your benefit. So why don't you just do it without using it as a test site? Why don't you just help them every year instead of using it as a test site for your own gain? Maybe, it's kind of one of those, like, it's giving, we're trying to be environmentally conscious, but we're also kind of taking advantage of the situation, and it's not a cute look entirely. But yeah, like, what happens if the animals get hurt or something like that, and it's because you're just using them as test animals? I mean, if you look at Kukro, there are some not great pointed hat witches out there, so he's one in point. So yeah, it is kind of something to keep in mind, and it definitely opens up a lot of like ideas about, ooh. And I think that's mangaka's intention. It is to portray the pointed hat society as not being this righteous little group of goody goodies. It's like, no, they're doing some shady gray things too without even realizing it. And I love it. I love the complexity. And then there's the idea about not revealing yourself as human. I mean, with the stuff that happens with Uni, that in hindsight adds a whole host of meaning to that line, right? But yes, I do agree. I think it is positioning. If you could argue it's not maybe necessarily saying that the witches are above outsiders, but it is creating a divide. It is creating a separation of there's the outsiders and there's the witches, and we are not the same as them. And like, Rose Jennison points out, this is one of the early tests. So if this is being taught and reinforced early on in a witch's teachings, what are they carrying forward as they get further down the path? Yeah, very good thoughts. Really good thoughts. I love that. I like This series is very morally gray, and that's the point. And I like that the mangaka is making us ask these questions because they're important. Alexander Q says, I don't think the problem with the twin ink bottles was the twinning seal, but the contents of the bottle linked to Coco. I think the twinning seal is just something that was lost when the memories of the healer witches were erased. But it wasn't something bad. I mean, it's not breaking anything that was forbidden, and it's not casting magic on anything alive or changing it too much. It works a lot like a window way. That is true. It also makes me think that all of the other equally useful and innocuous spells were lost when the memories of so many witches were erased, and what other things have been devised to be done. I kind of like that comment because it is establishing that, yeah, it's more along the fact of anything associated with a brimmed cap or those that went against the pact has to be scrubbed from society, even if it is beneficial. And I think that it's a good tie to our own world where certain administrations and governments are very actively trying to erase things in our world because they're tied to a certain person or a certain group. Even if they are beneficial to people at large, it's that affiliation that they're eliminating them because, without considering how it could help others or even caring if it helps others. And I think that's important. Again, the mangaka is smart. They are connecting these things together for us to notice. And it's really smart that they're doing that because it's like, yeah, if you erase these things, it could potentially save lives because they're affiliated with people that didn't go along with what you wanted to. What are the benefits and what are the cons of that? We've got to think. It makes you think, right? Love that. So thank you, Alexander Q. And then for Witch Hat Atelier Kitchen Chapter 1, SpaceFox4394 said, as an Italian, hello Italian, I'm really curious about the Italian spices. Is it just rosemary, thyme, and oregano like the mixes we have here, or is it other stuff? Funny you ask that. I have the Simple Truth Organic Italian Seasoning Blend that I used in Chapter 1, and it says it is oregano, basil, thyme, rosemary, marjoram, and then garlic. So that's what's in it. That was what was in the Italian spices. Whether or not y'all consider marjoram, rosemary, and garlic and basil to be Italian spices, that remains to be seen. So yeah, they also said, I had not thought about this, but they were like, you can use an oven as a substitute for deep frying. It's a way healthier option, and I do it all the time for croquettes. Just put in the oven for about 20 to 30 minutes at 180 degrees Celsius with a tiny bit of olive oil on top, and it works perfectly. They even get the crunchy shell you usually get with deep frying. I love that. So thank you. That's an awesome suggestion. Yes. So cool. Well, I'm going to be doing that in the future. So I'm glad that you pointed that out, but yay. So yeah, I will be talking about the OP at the end of this episode. We're going to get to that, but I want to go ahead and we'll talk about episode 12 comments next time with chapter 3's content. I'm trying to spread out so I can get down to the cooking because it's been almost 10 minutes and y'all are wanting me to get to the manga and to the cooking part. So let's not waste any more time with that. I'm so excited. We're going to be looking at chapter 2 of Witch Hat Atelier Kitchen. Oh, love it. And we're going to do that here in 3, 2, 1. And let's see what we got. So this is I'm picking up at the end of chapter 1. So Witch Hat Atelier Kitchen, chapter 2. Oh, the name is El Rugio. Ollie for short. Ah! Love it. I love it. Like Ollie. El Rugio Ollie. Bond. James Bond. I'm a witch by trade. I make magical contraptions for people. And I'm a good friend of Keyfree's. Oh, I'm sure a good friend indeed. I serve as the watchful eye in this atelier. Oh, I've been mulling over this project all day without a lick of progress. I know, I just need to clear my head for a bit. I love how they draw Larugio and his little ruffianness, his little raggedness. I love it. Yes, a witch by trade. He makes magical contraptions, and I love that he's a good friend of Keyfree's and a watchful eye. Yes. Chapter 2. Oh, quartz sugar, an extremely hard lump of crystallized sugar, typically utilized by grinding into granules or dissolving in hot water. Well, it's basically sugar then. Sand vanilla bean, the long skinny seed pod of a certain species of cactus, native to the Aran and eastern wastes, has a distinctive aroma. Is it supposed to be like vanilla? Because it says sand vanilla? Some milk and a little quartz sugar, add an egg, a dash of sand vanilla for flavor. And presto, a few simple ingredients is all it takes to have a pair of custard pudding cups. A pair, you say? A pair, you say? Why, who could that other one be for? But that's exactly why there's more to cooking than meets the eye. Ah! Measure out the ingredients and follow the steps. I'm glad didn't have to grind that. The trick is to beat gently so the egg doesn't foam. Oh, I love that he does the little swirl there. Deceptively simple, but the care and precision required are just as applicable in fashion and contraptions. I'm not surprised that Olrugio would like cooking, because if he likes inventing things and making things, then cooking is like right up that alley. Oh, we're out of sand vanilla. What's the point of custard pudding if it doesn't smell good? Oh no! Sir, you are being dramatic. Dramatic indeed. I just can't win today. Of course, honey tree. Okay, well, honey tree I'm assuming is honey. Precise measurements, carefully executed steps, and most important of all, that sudden flash of inspiration that brings it all together. I just look at him making this like he's brewing something, but oh my gosh. Oh, and then the honey from inside the honey tree. Yet another way that cooking's a lot like magic. They make it look so easy in this manga. And I'm like, this is not easy at all. Sand vanilla is a good option, but there's plenty of other ways to flavor custard pudding. Oh, rum and brandy. Oh, man. Like honey tree with its fragrant aroma. All right, I mixed in the honey and milk, warmed it up, and took it off the fire before I got it to boiling. Now it's time to slowly pour the egg and sugar mixture. Oh, and they have the ladle. Okay. Yep. Then I run the whole mix through a clean cheesecloth to get rid of any clumps. The cheesecloth, I guess they don't have a sifter, but that looks messy. And divide it into cups. And stand the cups in the water at the base of a pot. Ooh. Here's a neat trick. Put a cloth under the cups. Oh, I'm going to have to research this. It keeps them from touching the base so they won't crack from the heat. We're going to do some research. Water level in pot at half height of the cups. Yeah, my immediate go-to would be that the cloth would light on fire, but I guess the water would keep it from doing that. I was planning for a batch of 2, and they end up here with enough for 4 and almost 5. Sir! Oh my God. He's like, well, I was just going to make pudding cups for me and Kiefer, but I guess I got to feed these kids too. This wouldn't have happened if I'd made sure we had sand vanilla from the start. He really did say F those kids. But I'd already mixed the sugar in with the egg, and by the time I switched to honey tree, the trouble with the honey tree is it's naturally sweet, and that means I'll have to balance it out by doubling the milk and adding one more egg. Oh, okay. So if he'd had the vanilla, he could have had 1 egg and half the milk. Okay, all right. I just know I'm going to be the odd one out. Oh, this is what I get for thinking us adults can have all the fun. Oh, because he's thinking there's 4 girls and Kiefer, so he's not going to... Well, that's nice. I say he said F them kids, but he was really thinking of himself. Watch like Tetia's lactose intolerant. Oh, the custard's cooled off, so I might as well get on with it. Time to top it off with some berry preserves. Another spoonful of honey tree nectar instead of caramel. Oh, thank God. I do not want to make caramel from scratch. I have watched too many Great British Baking shows where caramel is like, they're like, nope, tricky stuff. Now's not the time. Sun's almost up. The Ice Seal ice box made from magical ice that won't melt as long as the seal lasts. Of course we made a refrigerator. Of course we did. I'll leave the rest to you, Kiefer. I'm going to go catch a few winks. Oh, good morning, Master. Oh, good morning, girls. It looks like Ollie left us a treat for breakfast. Oh, he was leaving the pudding cups and everything for him. What if Kiefer says, let us split the cup that's left? What if he does that? Oh, my God. Oh, look at these berries. They're like shiny little gems. They're too pretty to eat. Oh, something's a little different. I don't know how to tell you her accent. Something's a little different about these. What's that smell? Tastes like the honey tree nectar. Oh, I love being a got. He must have used that instead of caramel. I'm glad that Richard would have been so hard, so I'm glad she's just sitting there eating it. Yes. Oh, eat your breakfast too, okay? Well, aren't you going to have some, Master Keyfree? Oh, I'm saving mine for later. Shut up. Oh, thank you, Master. That was very kind of you to make something for the children. There's still one more in the icebox. Aren't you going to have it? Well, that one's yours. I ate mine last night. Oh, 6 servings with only 2 eggs. That's quite a feat. Ah! 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 Don't forget, I'm in the kitchen every day. I pretty much have a good idea of what our store looks like. I've always admired that about you. Whether in your work or in the kitchen, you always think of others' needs before your own. All right, let's split it then. Oh, split it, Eureka, that's it! Oh, and thank him for his contraption, his formula there. Oh, they're getting to split it! Oh, and his blush, shut up! They're married, shut up! Oh! Love them. Love them so much. This is amazing. I love everything about this. All of this is great. All this is wonderful. Okay, so pudding cups. Pudding cups. I am so intimidated by this recipe. It looks so simple, but custard, making homemade custard. This is like every Great British Baking Show nightmare all rolled into one. Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. It's fine. It's fine. We've got this. We've got this. We've got this. So yes, 2 eggs, quartz sugar, honey tree nectar, which is honey, milk, and berry preserves. I have all these things. This should not be difficult. And then we have the recipe. So I'm definitely getting my brother to help me record this. So I'm going to get to that. I'm going to get the things and we're going to go from there. So let's go ahead and see how this pans out. And then I'll be back with the finished product after that, and we'll talk about the OP. Okay? And we're here. So my brother is helping me record today.
Hey.
Because I don't have meta glasses because I'm not a weirdo, and because I wanted us to be able to kind of capture this process, because we are dealing with custard, which has been the worry of my existence since starting any cooking videos on this channel. Because if you've watched Great British Baking Show, custard involves eggs and milk and cooking and not curdling, and that sounds terrifying. So, but you have faith in me, bro, that I can do this, right?
I'm just here to call the fire department.
It'll be fine. So yeah, we're gonna try it, but I wanted my brother to come here, and he's been so kind to record for me so that I can't hold a camera and beat eggs and add milk at the same time, and I'm just too afraid of curdling to do so. So here's kind of the setup that we have. I've got the recipe pulled up here that we can go off of. We're gonna be getting the eggs out. The recipe is insanely simple in terms of ingredients. All we have are 2 eggs. We have 2 tablespoons of sugar, which is not a lot for as big of a recipe as this is, I guess. Then we have 2 teaspoons of honey. I have this giant jar of honey that my relatives from Tennessee gave me that was local, and I've been slowly whittling away at it, so we're gonna use that. Some local honey, and then 1 cup of milk. I'm gonna be using whole milk because that seemed like the most appropriate. We're not doing any substitutions, right? Great. My brother hates when I substitute in recipes because it usually goes bad. And then it called for both honey on top and berry preserves, which I do have some berry preserves. So we have all the ingredients. We don't have to substitute anything. I also got these little cups, these little what are they called? Ramekins, I think, they are 4 ounces that we can put our custard in to set. I watched a video, which I will link down below, where someone else made these on their own YouTube channel. Their video was insanely helpful, but they also recommended that when you pour the custard, you might get in some air bubbles, and they recommended using a chopstick to pop the air bubbles so that you don't get those when you bake them, which I think is really smart. But we got our stuff to beat the eggs. We've got our measurement tools. We have, I don't think I'll need to use this, but we might go ahead and pour out the milk to be sure. We've got stuff to mix it in. We have a small saucepan to heat our milk up with and our honey and have that way. Our mixing bowl is to have our eggs to milk that in. And then we have, this is probably the part I'm most nervous about, is cooking the custard. They recommended you use a giant pot, which we have. They also wanted you to have a cloth at the bottom of the pot, which I'm like, which involves heat. And so you would think in your mind, you're like, won't it burn? But I read online, my brother looks so skeptical. I read online, and if you have 100% cotton, you can't have any synthetic cloth, like no nylon, no polyester, nothing. 100% cotton, which is what I have. I've taken the tag off. This is 100% cotton, and you have it submerged in water, which is what we're gonna do when you cook it, it won't burn. We shall see. But yeah, so that is the idea. My brother's eyebrow could not be raised any higher. But
I got 9 and 1 already dialed.
I am pretty positive. I watched the guy's video. It did work on the video, so I am assuming we know what we're doing. But yeah, we're gonna get the ingredients out and get this party started, but let's make sure this goes all right, eh? Okay, so I went ahead and put our 2 eggs in this because I didn't want to have to see me crack eggs and then throw them away. But our first step is to gently beat eggs thoroughly mixed until thoroughly mixed without allowing to foam. So we're gonna get my brother to get a little close up in on that. So we're gonna beat these eggs here, get them together, make sure we have the egg yolks. In the video, they had the egg yolks pretty thoroughly mixed here. We just don't want it to foam, but you wanna make sure that the yolk is pretty much in there without seeing the, you can see there. You don't want it to look kind of like that. We don't want it to foam yet, but we want it to show that it's thoroughly mixed up. And so, okay, you can kind of see it's getting mixed up there. We're gonna have to sift through this in a little bit before, to get any of this clumps out if I've not mixed. I don't know, does that look thoroughly mixed to you? Looks like it could be a little bit more.
Maybe a little bit more.
Maybe a little bit more, okay. So we're gonna beat this like it is. They said if you had taken, if you had gotten any eggshell in it, you could take a chopstick or you could get tweezers or something and pluck it out. But we luckily did not have that happen. So I feel like they want you to try to get this stuff out of it. I feel like they want this yolk to get mixed up in it so that it doesn't, but it's gonna get sifted through so that it doesn't clump up. Because the last thing I want is scrambled eggs. That is the last thing we want in custard. That is like Great British Baking Show nightmare. You don't want that. Okay, so we've gently, I feel like we've gently mixed it in. We don't want it to foam. So we're gonna take these are 2 tablespoons of, I didn't have granulated regular sugar, so I had cane sugar, which seems like it will do the trick. And so it says to mix in the sugar. I'm gonna try to do it slowly. I say slowly and then it just all comes in at once.
Any Gordon Ramsays in the comments, please do not hold back.
Why would you be that way? No! Okay, so you can kind of see we've got it mixed in here. I'm gonna make sure it's mixed in just a little bit more. I don't want it to foam because it tells me not to make it foam. I'm glad that the guy in the video hand mixed, which I was wondering if I should use a mixer or hand mix, but I could see how if you did the mixer, it would immediately foam, and that's not what we want. So hand mixing is the way to go. And I think I remember in an episode of Great British Baking Show, somebody hand mixed and it foamed and it made the custard really bad. So we're gonna avoid doing that. Okay, so this sounds weird because you would expect to do something immediately with this, but the directions say to set it to the side. This looks like it has a lot of air bubbles in it, but we have the chopsticks, so we're gonna be okay. But it said to set this to the side once you've mixed everything together. And then they say, my brother has not read or watched Witch Hat Atelier, but they say the next step is to draw a fireball seal, which means turn on your oven. And so it's set over medium heat. So we're gonna set it to about a 7, 6 or 7. And then we're gonna go from there and start getting it a little warm. And we're gonna add the milk to it so you can get that milk in there. My brother was making fun of me because I'm using whole milk, but I only had a tiny little thing of whole milk, but I literally don't drink whole milk, so I only have it for literally baking, and that's about it. So we're gonna put that in the saucepan, and then while this is out to the side, I have a tiny little teaspoon measure that's R2D2 style, and we are going to add, it says draw the fireball seal, warm the milk and honey tree nectar in a saucepan to create the second half of the custard base, and remove it from the heat before the mixture begins to boil. So we just need to heat it up long enough that it doesn't boil, because then that would scramble our eggs. All right, so we're gonna get down in there. Problem with this is getting this without. That feels like a lot for a teaspoon, but in the video, his teaspoon was the tiniest thing. It was like the littlest one. So I'm like, this feels like a lot, but I like my pudding sweet. So, all right, we're gonna put this in here. Get this in there. I feel like you have to do this relatively quickly because I can already sense that it's heating up. And we're gonna get, okay, get another one.
Oh, bother.
Oh, bother. Winnie the Pooh style. Okay, this is a little bit more. It's not quite as granulated yet. All right, we're gonna let that drop down in there. And while it's dropping down in there, I'm gonna put this lid back on it. I'm gonna grab this spatula and then we're gonna get this honey, get that on there. We're gonna get the honey off of that and we're gonna slowly start mixing it in. I don't use saucepans enough in cooking. I just am not patient enough to cook with the saucepan and make sauces, but it would be a lot handier. So you can kind of see I'm mixing up in there. You can see what it looks like. I'm gonna set that on top of that for now. You can kind of see it's starting to mix up there with the honey. We want to make sure it doesn't boil. It doesn't really say how long that you cook it. It just says before it boils. I'm assuming they just want to make sure the honey has mixed in with the milk because that's the point. So it doesn't really, that's the one thing about these recipes with Witch Hat Atelier Kitchen. They don't give you times. They just say, do it until it's done. Do it until it feels right. And I'm like, As somebody that likes having like, do it for 10 minutes. This is kind of like, oh, it feels very pioneer days, which, you know, Kiefer and Orugio, they don't exactly have clocks and timers. They could probably make one, but this feels very old-fashioned of like, just do it till it's done. Okay, so we're getting that in there. You can kind of see, I want to make sure it doesn't boil over. You can feel the heat coming off of it though. I'm assuming that it just says remove from heat before it begins to boil. So I guess right when you see the first little bubbles, would you assume that?
Yeah.
Okay, that's when we stop. Okay, but it feels like the honey is already mixed up in there. Like if you look in the, I'm not getting any of the, I'm not seeing any honey left. So it feels like it's dissolved, which is what's supposed to happen.
Might be good.
Yeah, so we're gonna let this go for a little bit and then we'll come back when it's time to mix with the eggs, which is the part I'm dreading the most. Okay, I went back and looked at the video to make sure what we should do next, and I think we've got this. I think we figured this out, but as you can see, it's just now getting to about a boil. It took about 5 minutes to get to that, so we're gonna put this over here. Now, the video that I've referenced down below had a pretty good recommendation, which is to take a ladle and ladle your egg mixture into the milk so that it was more evenly spread out and you didn't splash it. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take this ladle and we're gonna take a little egg and we're gonna, yeah, I can see where he's talking about splashing now. Slowly integrate it into the milk. And he said to spread it out. Do that way. He said this was better than just pouring it straight in because that way you make sure you get it somewhat more distributed. And the good news is we do have the strainer that we're going to use to get out the clumps that we might have gotten from the sugar and egg mixture. Okay, and then the rest of that, we're going to get the rest of that in there. Okay. If we need to use another ladle, I will do a backup. So then it said to mix slowly together until it turns yellow. So we're going to mix slowly together until it turns yellow. It's slowly starting to get there. I'm going to try not to. I can see a clump of egg in there, but I think when we do the little sifting thing, we're not going to have that. So I was told whether I could use a cheesecloth or the sifter. I have chosen for the sifter because the cheesecloth, as is used in the manga, you have to like wring out like a cloud. Basically, you'd be like sifting this through a towel and then wringing out the towel. That sounded messy. And also, you know, we have some modern conveniences we can use. But yeah, this one I liked because you could hook it onto the pot if you wanted to, or in this case, onto our little clear bowl over there that we're going to be using. So that's kind of where we're going with that. But yeah, oh look, it's getting a yellow look to it. It's looking a bit custardy, if I do say so myself. All right, cool. Well, do you think that's yellow enough? You think it's mixed enough?
I think so.
Okay, so what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna set that in there with the spatula, and we are gonna take our sifter, and then I am actually gonna take this out and put it in the sink real quick. And so what we're gonna do now is take this, and the good thing is you can see how this attaches to the bowl, which is really handy. And we are going to take that, and we're gonna slowly, I'm gonna lift it up. Oh, you can already see the parts where the stuff that didn't mix is getting through it. Oh, that's crazy. Oh, wow. Okay. Oh, that's so crazy. Okay. Okay. It's said to do this like 4 or 5 times. So I guess they want it in the pot and out of the pot. I guess. So we're gonna just do this again. It does say in the recipe, it says, combine them, run the custard through the cheesecloth or fine sleeve, dividing. Okay, oh no, it only said dividing into 4 individual serving cups. So maybe it didn't mean that. Okay. I do want to take the spatula that I've been using. Okay, set that over there. And I do want to kind of run through and make sure I get everything out. Oh, look at that. So that's what didn't go over. Okay. Well, we don't want that baking in our mixture. So, all right. So give me a second and we'll figure out what we're going to do next. My brother is questioning these next few steps, but it is going to be, I think, a lot of fun to see how this goes down. So I did go back and look at the video that the man had made. He is the guru doing this. So what he did was next pour the mixture slowly into these cups. This is what's going to be where our custard sets. We're gonna do that, and we're gonna pop that air bubble here in a minute. So we're gonna set that. It says run the custard base through the cheesecloth and then divide into 4 or 5 individually heat-resistant serving cups, which I did my research online, and I have found that these are heat-resistant serving cups. Now, my only thing I'm not sure of is, again, this series does not give you numbers and measurements. It doesn't say how big the cups should be, which was a little bit concerning. I was like, are they, because if you go online to find these cups, you can find them in 6 ounces, in 8 ounces, in 2 ounces. I went with 4 because I thought 4 ounces were fine. But as you can see, I don't think we're going to get more than 4 created out of this. I think it's going to be pretty much 4 of these cups. So unfortunately, in the manga, the girls and Keyfree get one. Keyfree ain't getting nothing in this recipe with these cups. It's just gonna be for the girls. All right, so we're gonna divide this in here. And like I said, I don't even think I have enough, maybe enough for like one of these cups. Maybe, yeah, I think so. We're gonna divide that. Okay. That one's gonna be a little shallow, but that's okay. All right, now what they did say is that you do not want the air bubbles because that is gonna cook bad. So we're gonna take our chopstick, and I'm gonna have my brother kind of show you, and where the air bubbles are, you just kind of pop them. This part's actually really fun. And he said if you couldn't get the air bubble, you bring it to the side and then bring it up and it will pop, which is kind of fun. That's cool. Now we're gonna pop these bubbles there. Okay, I'm gonna finish popping these and then get ready for the next step, and then we'll come back. Okay, so we've gotten pretty much all the air bubbles we can out of them. This one that has not so much in it, I think is gonna be our tester. That one's probably gonna be, we're gonna see what happens if you leave air bubbles in that one. So my brother is highly skeptical of this next step. He was like, wait, how does this work? We'll show you. So what we're gonna do next is that it says arrange the serving cups in the base of a very large saucepan. It says slowly add water to the saucepan until the cups are half submerged do not let the water overflow into the cups. And it says, before placing the cups in the saucepan, line the base with a cloth to protect the cups from the heat source. Because even though these are heat-resistant cups, we don't want them to burn. So we're going to take the cups and we're going to slowly place them at the bottom of this. Barely on there, but oh, they fit. Yay. Okay. Put those on there too. I was really worried this saucepan wasn't going to be big enough, but it kind of, ooh, we're getting close. Ooh, we're close. Ooh, we might just do 3. We might just do 3 to be safe. I just don't know if my pot is big enough for them, so we're just going to stick with those. This guy's just going to have to go on the edge. Okay, so what we're going to do next is, as it says, to cook and simmer over low heat for 15 minutes. So we're going to do low heat. And then I realized why I got that one water thing out, why I got that measuring cup out. It was for the water. So we're going to be very Midwestern and do this red Solo cup and put some water in here and start filling this sucker up. We want to make sure we don't get water into the cups. Okay, I'm gonna get some more water and then we'll come back and see how these are cooking. Okay, so we've got these started here in 1. We've got the pot filled up and it said to cover and simmer for 15 minutes. So we're gonna do that. And I didn't want to leave that one by itself, so I found another pot and pan and we're just gonna do this one by its little lonesome over here. And that way it can at least cook and we're not wasting anything. And then yeah, so now we're gonna kind of hang out for 15 minutes. It says, gently rock the saucepan to check the custard consistency. Once it's solidified, you remove it from the heat. So in about 15 minutes, we will check that and kind of rock it back and forth, and then we will see how that goes. So we have waited 15 minutes, but as you can see, if I shake it a little bit, they're starting to set, but they're not quite there yet. So I feel as if maybe I didn't let the pot warm up enough before putting them in. They're gonna have to sit here a little bit longer. I don't wanna increase the heat though, because I don't wanna scramble them. So we're just gonna let them sit and cook a little bit longer, and that'll be fine. Then what it says to do, step 7, is to allow the custard to cool. And it says to top with berry preserves surrounded by a spoonful of the honeywood nectar. So we're gonna be using the same honey that we did at the beginning for that one. For the preserves, I got these. They are a product of France, since Witch Hat Atelier seems set in Europe, so I thought that seemed appropriate. But they are gonna be blackberry preserves that we're gonna put on the other side, which seemed, the video that I've linked down below used blueberries, but blackberry I like more than blueberry, so we're gonna do that. So I'm gonna let these cook and let my brother go home and take a break. And then when they are done, I will show you all that they seem set. I'm gonna put the preserves, the honey on them, and then it says step 8 is to place the cups in the ice seal ice box or refrigerator to until they are chilled, and then to serve and enjoy the gentle fragrance of honey tree nectar in every bite. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna let them chill with the preserves and the honey on them, and then I will bring my bro one and I will try out one on camera and we will see how they go. So I'll be back very shortly for you all on this video to show you how it ends up going around. Okay, so I turned up the heat a little bit to try to cook them, and you can see they're pretty much getting kind of set. I don't want them to turn into scrambled eggs, so I'm gonna move them away from the heat and let them kind of sit there and chill for a minute. And then unfortunately the other one, it is not faring as well. You can see it's not getting set yet, but it's working there. So whenever these get to where I can take them out of the mixture, I am going to put the berry stuff on them and we'll see what that looks like. Okay, so you can see they've kind of set now. I think these have set a little bit more than this one, but I went ahead and pulled it off a little bit early. Its color's a little paler than the others, just because I didn't want it to boil over in case if these end up wrong. But yeah, you can see that they've kind of set. It took way longer than 15 minutes. So I think I just might have not had the pot set like it needed to be, but I'll talk about that later. So anyway, I'm gonna get the preserves and the honey out. Oh,
Look at them. I've put the berry preserves and the honey on top. They look so good. I'm actually really excited about these now. So I'm going to chill them in the fridge and then get some results from my brother on how he feels they turned out and then let you know how they taste.
Hey, so we're back. And my brother came over and we had dinner and he did try one of the the pudding cups that turned out. You can kind of see on here, there is the blackberry preserves, there's the honey in there. I'm pretty excited to try this, but he said it was not up to his standard. He didn't like it, but also he likes really, really, really sweet things. And so that tells me that this isn't going to be overly sweet. When I said I had 2 tablespoons of sugar for all of it, I was like, that's not a lot of sugar. It's mostly the milk and the eggs. So the good thing was in his cup, it didn't curdle. So I was really excited. So let's see if this turns out to be scrambled eggs or not. So we're going to, I'm going to give you guys a little close up there. You can kind of see the honey and the preservatives. Yeah. We're going to get a nice big old bite. I actually want to get a bite that doesn't have as much berry on it. Look at that. Look at that. Okay, you can kind of see, I don't know if I could get a close up there or not. It's not, there's no scrambled eggs. It looks like a custard. Ah, I'm so excited. It is not sweet. The honey and the berries are going to be what makes it sweet. It is just a basic custard. I'm having for the first time a basic custard. I mean, I've had vanilla pudding, I've had banana pudding, but in the US, those puddings are made by like pudding mixes and milk. There aren't usually eggs and stuff like that. It's like a powder and milk and everything combined. This is my first time making my own custard. And oh my gosh. Okay, so let's try it with the berries. If you want any sweetness, it needs the honey and the berries for sure. This is really, I like this. I can see why my brother, look, is it a double-decker? Is it a double-decker chocolate cake? No, not at all. If you don't have the berries and the honey on it, is it just plain custard? Yes. But for being something that's really good and is not overly sweet, and I made myself, and it didn't become scrambled eggs, I'm so excited. I legitimately feel I could take this to Great British Baking Show and I wouldn't be last. I wouldn't be in contention for getting kicked off. I think it's just safe. But it's really good. I'm so happy. I'm so glad it didn't split. I'm so glad that it didn't curdle. I'm so glad that the preserves and it all turned out. This is maybe, out of all of the, maybe it's because it's so simple, but out of all the cooking things I've done so far for Witch Hat Atelier Kitchen and for Delicious in Dungeon, this is the most successful thing I've cooked because it actually turned out exactly like I thought it was supposed to. I didn't substitute anything. It turned out exactly like it was supposed to, and I'm so proud. And honestly, the 4-ounce cups, these are just 4-ounce cups. This is the perfect amount because it's just enough for a little dessert without being too much. This is the perfect amount. I'm so happy. Yes, indeed. I'm thrilled to have made these and all done. Yay! That's exciting. Success! Success! So, while I have you all here, if you want to stick around, we need to talk about these OP lyrics because I pulled them up here and we're going to talk about them. We'll talk about the ED. We're going to be doing chapter 3 later this month, and I will be doing the ED lyrics and talking about those with you all. I've already done an analysis of the OP in episode 13, so we're just going to look at the lyrics kind of close up and talk about those. And then with the next chapter, we'll look at episode 12's comments, and we'll look at the ED and go from there. But I want to go through these paragraphs. I went on to get the lyrics off of Reddit, and this user, AssassinCat4, they posted the lyrics. They had their own interpretations. I don't know if they are a manga reader or not, but I'm assuming they aren't. But we're just going to kind of go with the lyrics. And I'm going to not read their interpretations, but instead just do the lyrics. And my dog is, as I tell you all this, he's like, you didn't give me custard, so you have to throw this ball now. But anyway, so the first verse is, the wind carries it to me. When I dance with the moon, I'm dyed into the night's magic. The more I dry out, the less I feel fulfilled. All I want is this moment, still unsure like a wandering lamb, just nobody, nothing special at all. I was chasing tomorrow towards the dawn of a world meant for me. I mean, this is from Coco's perspective. That seems to be the case with the OP. And I like the idea of the wind because some people have noted that with the Masked Witch, their motif seems to kind of be like the wind as well. So there's a little, and the wind carrying the magic book to her. So there's that as well. And then dancing with the moon, being associated with magic and witchcraft and everything. I really like that. I like Coco associating herself like a wandering lamb because lambs are innocent, right? And calling herself a nobody when she was not. She was special. I hate that she says she wasn't special at all. That's kind of the thing. One thing that I would like to see in the series is this push that you don't need magic to be special. And right now, it's kind of pushed to the girls that magic is this end-all, be-all thing that's so special because, of course, they're going to push that agenda. They're witches. But I think by the end of it, Coco's going to be like, I don't need magic to make me special. I'm already great. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I like that idea there. I'm going to look at this person said, it's illustrating Coco's feelings before she discovered the truth of witchcraft. Okay. So in the second verse, I'm just afraid to read their comments because I don't know if they're a manga reader or not. So the second verse is voices echo, you and I, whoa, your voice, like fate's connecting us to someday. An anthem where our voices resonate. These days we hold onto small prayers. The hope I pictured more than anyone, the dreams I keep inside, the magic that makes the colors of life shine. Even without that power, I won't hesitate anymore in these strange, wonderful days. Oh, I like that. I like that I feel like the your voice could apply to Kefri. It could apply to Agat. It could apply to Tarda. It could apply to a lot of people. It could apply to all the people that she's met, even the Masked Witch. And these fates connecting them together. It could all connect to that. I do like that note that she's like, the hope I pictured and these dreams I keep. She's like, even without that power, which I'm assuming is magic, she's like, I'm not going to hesitate. So I like that there's this transition of her in verse 1 being like, oh, I'm just a nobody. I'm not special. And then she discovers magic, but she realizes, hey, I don't have to have magic to be powerful in my own, in my own self. So I like that. That's cool. And so, yeah. And so then the OP goes to only longing draws your gaze. The cage of the abyss, a flame that sometimes tempts like an omen. Ooh, a heart that just wants to make someone happy. A spark of light dwelling within, like dots connecting into one. A drawing of a beautiful arc. Just being able to think, I love it, was enough for this world to feel whole. Oh, I love that. I love that idea of, it kind of seems like after Coco has talked with Kefri and she's understanding how magic can make people's lives better, that she like wants to make people happy with her magic. Because, in the season, she's excited when Agat remembers her spells or is happy with her spells. So it seems like it connects to that, right? Love that. Interesting. Interesting indeed. Although I would also note that magic that makes the colors of life shine, there has been talk between Coco and Kefri and Coco and the Masked Witch about magic making life feel colorful and alive. Interesting that the Masked Witch, who knows Kefri from somewhere, we don't know how, we don't know in what way, the Masked Witch that knows Kefri has a similar ideology about magic that Kefri does, except the Masked Witch seems to be kind of warped and twisted in a way. Interesting. Indeed, indeed, indeed. And then the last verse is every mistake, every doubt, every trace of regret, I embrace them all now. From the past into the future, towards the dawn I'm meant to reach, I weave it all together like magic. Your voice echoes as your wavering steps grow steady and true. The hope we dreamed of more than anyone. A small adventure becomes a great miracle. Ooh, I love that. I love that. What's interesting is that, this first part sounds like it's from Coco, where she's like, all the regret and doubt that she has and every mistake. It seems like it's from Coco, but the last parts where it's like, your wavering steps grow steady and true, the hope we dream of more than anyone, a small adventure becomes a great miracle. That part doesn't feel like it comes from Coco. It feels like it comes from Kefri. because Kiefer and her have the arrangement to find the brimmed caps by finding the book and saving her mom and all that. So interesting. Interesting indeed. So I really like the OP a lot. I'm excited to get into the ED and see what we get with that with the next chapter. And I'm very excited to see what we're going to get as our next meal in Witch Hat Atelier Kitchen. Look, this was good to the last drop, y'all. So if you're wondering if this custard will make, it will. I will say one thing, and I talked a little bit about it in the cooking video. They said 15 minutes. I don't know where they got 15 minutes from. It was really long. I think the mistake that I made was that I did not heat the pot up sooner because I was afraid that the cloth would catch on fire somehow. I was like, because you weren't supposed to pour in the water till after the cups were in. By the time I started at like 1:15, it was by the time we got all the cups and stuff in there, it was like 1:40. And it was like 1:40, and then by 1:55, it was nowhere near done. And then I kept it on, and about nearly twice the amount of time, at about 2:15, I turned it up to a 2. My oven goes up to a 10. I turned it up to from low to a 2, and it started to like simmer a little bit. And then it was 15 minutes after that, because it was about 2:37 when it was done. So I think what happened is it still cooked. It still got there. It just took like 3 times as long to cook because I didn't start it out simmering. I think if I had gotten the water to a simmering point, like it said, quicker, and then let it simmer for 15 minutes, it would have worked. But I was so afraid of curdling the egg and cooking the egg. I was like, oh, I don't want to heat it up too quick. It ended up getting there. It just took like 45 minutes instead of 15. So if you're making it and you're afraid of getting that egg cooked, I would let it go on low for 30 minutes, and then the last 15 minutes crank it up to a 2 and let it bubble, and then it'll get done. So that would be my recommendation. But other than that, I'm so excited. I hope you enjoyed this chapter and episode of Witch Hat Atelier Kitchen. I'm excited to hear your comments down below, but I also hope you have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, I'll be back very soon with more of Witch Hat Atelier Kitchen. And I'll see you then. Bye!